Hello, everybody. Pat Flynn here, host of Philosophy for the People. It's good to see you. We haven't done a live stream in a while. Life has been a little bit busy, a little bit hectic, but also really exciting. A lot has been going on, and I promised I would do this brief live stream to give a look at my book that has just been released. I'm actually a little bit confused. Here it is, by the way. The Best Argument for God. As many of you know, I've been working on this one for a minute. And I'm a little confused because I thought the book was coming out tomorrow, the 17th. But people are telling me that they have already received it, that it came. In fact, there we go. Justin Lee said literally arrived this morning. God bless you, man. Thanks for support. Thanks for supporting the project. I really appreciate it. So that's super cool. So I guess it's out already. That's news to me, the author. I was expecting release tomorrow, so I'm kind of scrambling. I had certain things, lined up around the release, and here we are. So thanks for being with me, Justin. Would love to hear your thoughts if you've already started to dive into it. If you haven't, let me just walk you through it real quick. First off, I'm very happy with the production quality. Sophia did just a really nice job. The book looks and feels amazing because I had nothing to do with that. As far as the content and the arguments, that'll be for you to decide. But the actual look and feel of the book is top notch. They did such a beautiful job with the cover. I think looks great. Just has a great feel to it. So I'm really pleased with the production quality of this. Sophia was just a joy to work with, start to finish. They've been extremely supportive of this project. And let me make it a petition right away, guys. If you think books like this are important, books that engage, I think, in more substantive philosophical conversation. If you think these types of books are important to have, and you want to see more books like this, please support and recommend this book, because Sophia did take a chance. They took a chance on me with this book. When we were talking about the original deal in the contract, they were very forthright. And they said, look, yeah, philosophy books, they just don't sell that well. There's not a huge market for it, but they really liked my idea. And they said, Pat, we like you. We're going to take a chance on you with this book. We're going to sign you for this book. So they are taking a chance on me for this book. So, I don't like all this self-promotion. I don't write books for an economic result. That's a losing proposition, my friends. You don't ever write books as a way to make a living. Write books because you're passionate about something, you have something you want to say. And that's how I feel about this. I just had something that I thought was important and that I wanted to say. So if you think it's also important to have books that engage in more substantive conversation, as opposed to these very kind of superficial, apologetics type of stuff, help a brother out. Recommend the book, grab a copy or two, leave a review on Amazon, and maybe we'll see more stuff like this. Because a large part of me wanted to write this book to fill a gap, and that gap is this, so far as I see it, that among professional philosophers and in the literature, there's a lot of really great stuff happening. I think really cool stuff, a lot of brilliant thinkers, especially theist, Christian, Catholic thinkers. But then when it comes to the popular level, there's a lot of apologetic stuff, but it's often kind of superficial. It either isn't very deep. It sometimes just gets a lot of things wrong or straw mans the opposition. And there's not a whole lot in the middle. There's not a whole lot of solid middlebrow efforts that really tries to bring down the best of the argumentation that's happening at the higher levels, while representing fairly the opposition in its strongest form, and also at the same time trying to make it accessible to a wide audience. There's a few books out there like that, but there's not a whole lot, and that's the space I wanted to occupy with the best argument for God. So let's take a look. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. Let's go to the table of contents, give you a brief tour throughout the book. If you have any questions, let me know. And real quick, let me make a quick note, because I did promise it for anybody who pre-ordered the book and and wants to take advantage of it, I have bonus content. Bonus content. It's actually now about 4 articles worth of bonus content of material that was originally taken out of the book because it was just too much space constraints, or it was too technical. And so I have about, let me look at because I have it ready to go just about, as if this book isn't long enough. I have about, 33,000 extra words for you of bonus content that explores other forms of cosmological reasoning. In fact, I have a preprint of my grounding paper with Heinrich Gell included in there as well. A paper that was just accepted by the Review of Metaphysics, so I'm pretty excited about that. But so you can look at that too. Anyways, I have that bonus content. If you want it, just fill out the form over at philosophyforthepeople.com and let me know that you ordered a copy of the book, and I'll put you on the email list to receive that bonus content if you want to go a bit deeper. And all that content is, I think it's all, if you like this book, I think you're going to like the content. It just didn't fit into the book for various reasons. Okay. All right, now let's look at the book, and then we can talk more about that bonus content if we want. So here's the table of contents. Let me hold it up here. I imagine you should be able to see. Oh, can we not see it because of the glare? Sorry, I'm actually on a new computer. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I'll let you just take a look at that right now. If you're just listening, I'll read it here in a second. Sorry, it seems to have a hard time focusing, and it's hard for me to see it backwards. And then, of course, on the next page, we have what's left of it. If you can see that at all, you can let me know. Let me just read it. It'll probably be easier. Brendan, good to see you. When is that book hitting my mailbox? Apparently, people are getting it today, man. I didn't think it was released till tomorrow. This actually happens. You know, with a number of my books, there was a scheduled release date, and then it came out like a day or two before, and I'm just totally caught off guard. I don't know what to do. It's weird. All right, so the way this book is structured is it blends. If you've watched some of my recent interviews, I've talked about this. Is it blends 2 different philosophical approaches when it comes to thinking about God. It blends the traditional approach where we start the project from a metaphysical position, right? We kind of run an analysis on various large-scale features of reality, and then make an argument that these features must have the God of classical theism as their underlying necessary condition, right? So there, think of like think of traditional forms of cosmological reasoning, the kind of stuff that Aquinas is up to. So in the first section of the book, I give a contemporary contingency argument where I blend a lot of Thomistic insights with, I think, a number of very forceful contemporary insights in the current literature. And I run that argument. I make the best case that I can in the space that's available to me, and that sets that sort of crafts our classical theistic hypothesis. Right now, I think that argument by itself, at least for me, has always had a tremendous amount of force. But then I shift methodology, and then we go into worldview comparison. So I say, okay, cool. Maybe you aren't like totally persuaded by the cosmological argument we just ran. I think it's good, but let's go a little bit further. At the very least, it has now given us a sort of refined worldview hypothesis, this classical theistic hypothesis. Now let's go out and let's test this hypothesis against its primary rival, its primary naturalistic rival, right? And actually, this relates to a question just came in. Running Decade said, so one question I have for you is, how do you think theism compares to more revisionistic forms of naturalism? By that I mean stuff like panpsychism, et cetera, which deviates from classic materialism. Yeah, great question. So in my book, right at the outset, I say, Running, that I just assume the useful falsehood that theism and the more materialistic naturalism form a partition, which is a useful falsehood. That's not true. That does not exhaust the logical possibility space. So if you're running with a more exotic form of naturalism or something like that, a panpsychism, or maybe a naturalism with some sort of teleology built in or something like that. Um, Straight up, some of the arguments that I have in the back half of the book, the one I'm talking about, the worldview comparison book, are going to be less forceful for sure, right? That being said, I think the arguments in the front half of the book, the cosmological, just have force against any form of naturalism, no matter how exotic or liberal whatsoever. There's a lot more I want to say about that, but you can only cover so much in one book. So I take what, to my mind, is the flavor of naturalism, or the brand of naturalism that most naturalists endorse, the sort of mainstream natural, and is, I think, that the naturalism that has that is the most interesting and has the most going for it, anyways. And if we can make the case against that, then we can consider more seriously some of these, as you call them, revisionistic forms of naturalism. And I think a lot of considerations in the book are as forceful against some of those other versions of naturalism, but admittedly, not all the considerations of the book are as forceful against those other forms of naturalism, if that makes sense. So it's a good question. It's one that I sort of hang a lantern on right at the beginning of the book as well. So yeah, so that's the second half of the book, and it relates to what Running just brought up there, that we do this worldview comparison, but I do assume, like I said, the useful falsehood that classical theism, as I take the time to articulate it, and metaphysical naturalism, as I take the time to articulate that, and I spill a fair amount of ink of saying very specifically what I mean by each of these respective worldviews, and then we're off to the races of seeing which offers the most explanatory comprehensiveness when considering these sort of broad scale features of reality. And I list a whole bunch, but I only actually specifically target 4 or 5 of them. Everything from, so I focus on stability and order, morality. I think you guys will like the morality section, because I run a somewhat different moral type of argument there. Beings like us, so that's where I focus on the qualitative dimension and also the rational dimension, and then suffering and evil. So I have a lot to say of the problem of evil and suffering and evil at the end as well. And then another kind of cool thing about this book is it has an appendix where I felt the need to kind of like play cleanup duty, right? There's just a lot of objections that I thought were important and are good objections, but they didn't like fit neatly anywhere in the book, at least, or they were just a little too in the weeds to justifiably include them in the main text. So I was able to negotiate, sometimes what you have to do with editors, right? I was able to negotiate an appendix where I just am able to list off lots of different additional objections that relate to the various arguments I develop in the book that I think you will all find interesting and helpful. The point of that appendix is not to offer always a complete, resolution of every objection. Some of these objections, man, there's just a lot to say about them. Like, think of different modal collapse objections. There's just a lot that could be said about that. But to at least diffuse a lot of initial tension and to show what I think, or at least point in the directions of what I think are the best resolutions, and that there are resolutions available. So I think a lot of people will get a lot of good, or find at least pretty interesting that appendix. But that's the book in a nutshell. We use the traditional approach to make an argument for God and to kind of gain conceptual clarity of what exactly the classical theistic worldview is. Then we bring that hypothesis into worldview comparison with metaphysical naturalism. And then and at each section, I make the case that theism is either that the explanation for the relevant data is available only within a theistic perspective, or if it's available to both perspectives, the naturalistic one frequently has to contrive itself. It has to add additional components and complications that are problematic for the relevant considerations of simplicity. And when it comes to simplicity, that's the one thing I forgot to mention. I do have an entire chapter on simplicity in here, and it's called Simplicity, It's Complicated, because the whole notion when we're talking about the theoretical virtues, of which, explanatory comprehensiveness and simplicity are the big ones. The simplicity debate is really complicated. There's just a lot going on there. So what I do is I try to kind of carefully consider the I guess prominent understandings of simplicity, and show, I think, that no matter how you think about this, minimally, I think we can say that theism is no more complicated in the relevant respect than naturalism. But I go further in that, and I actually argue that theism enjoys greater simplicity as well, especially on the fundamental level, where I argue it matters most. So I think you guys will enjoy that as well. So Muhammad says, well, what is the argument? Yeah, that's a great question. I should have talked about that, right? So it's actually a phenomenal question. Should have been the first thing that I said. So the best argument for God starts by considering what I take to be probably the best argument against God. And it's something like this. Hey, if two theories explain just as much, believe the simpler. Theism and naturalism explain just as much, but naturalism is simpler. So believe naturalism. I think that's an interesting argument. I think it's one that's been around for a long time and that has a lot of currency among contemporary naturalists as well. So my argument is just to reverse it. The whole thesis of this book is that naturalism can only explain some, but not all, of what theism can, but only when strapped with greater complexity. So we should believe theism. So obviously that sets me up to actually make a lot of different arguments to support that master argument, if you will. So that's what this book is ultimately about. Okay, let me take one or two more comments or questions, and then I'll make a few more announcements, and then I got to run to do a couple other podcasts. In fact, I've got a podcast I'm recording later today with Dr. Mark Spencer, and we are going to be talking about his new model or his new proposal of the compatibility between divine simplicity and the essence energies distinction. So we've got that coming up. I think you're going to like it. All right. Brendan says, with all your free time, LOL, do you think you might pen a book exploring the philosophical reasons to adopt Catholicism or even how to understand Catholic beliefs? Realistically, not anytime soon. I do have a lot going on. Not only did I, just to kind of zoom out and give you guys an idea, last week when I got my author copies of this book, I submitted my manuscript for another book that was due. And not only that, but over the course of this year, I've written 4 scholarly articles, one of which was just accepted, I'm very happy to announce, by the Review of Metaphysics. So there's a lot on the writing research front. As you guys know, I also run my own business that's not at all related to philosophy. I have 5 children. My wife homeschools, so she's entirely home. I'm very involved in that. I'm in a band that gigs a lot in Milwaukee with a very big set list. I run multiple podcasts. I produce all sorts of social media content. Life is very busy, but it's full and it's good. So I have to be very, very selective with the projects I take on and where I spend my time, including on social media. At some point, I think I would like to do something like that, Brendan. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. Certainly not within the next year. In fact, we'll see. We'll see. And because I'm kind of a weird guy. Like I could next week. Who knows? Maybe I could announce a book on that. I'm one of those guys that sometimes just inspiration just hits me immediately. And I just light up with enthusiasm, and I just immediately start going for something. So who knows? Anything like that could happen. Okay, let me remind you guys of just one other thing before I go. So the book is out, I guess officially. I was told that the 17th was the release date. which, by the way, McDonald's is bringing back their Boo Buckets on the 17th as well. How am I supposed to compete with that? Danny says, is there a hardcover version? No, I don't think there is. Just this one, and there is an ebook version, and there will be an Audible. Sophia told me that they are doing that. They have not asked me to record it, so I don't know whose voice you're going to hear, but almost guaranteed it'll be far less annoying and tinny than mine. So look at you guys. I don't know when the Audible version will be out. And frankly, some of the material in this book, I don't know how it's going to, I don't know, man. I just don't know if this would be the best. I get it. Like if that's just the only way that people consume books, better than nothing. But to me, this is a sort of book that you should sit down with and read. Callum, what's up? It's good to see you. It is good to see you. Running says, out of curiosity, do you argue for immutability or creation ex nihilo? I do argue for immutability, but not creation ex nihilo. And he said, because there might be a great argument for omnipotence from creation ex nihilo. You know, it's funny you mention that, because I'm pretty sure Jim has a paper published on that topic. I'm pretty sure. And if I'm right about that, that could be a cool podcast episode. So I'll have to remember to send him a message and see if that's the case. Callum says, congrats on the book. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. All right. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'd like to get back to doing live streams a little bit more often once things slow down. I'm telling you what, though, after this week, after the book is out, I got to take a little bit of time off, because I have just been burning the midnight oil, as they say, for a considerable length of time now. So we're going to do Heflin's going to take a little vacation, not a long one, but a little one, just to replenish myself a little bit after this. All the work's been very good, so I really don't have anything to complain about. It's good, you know. It's just good to cycle off the intensity every once in a while after you've been going hard. You know, there's a saying, you know, when it comes to the gym and weightlifting, that if you don't plan for a deload, one will be forced upon you, either because of injury or burnout. And I think that is absolutely true when it comes to just every aspect of life where you're just pushing yourself. You need to schedule some time to just ease off the gas and recover. If you don't, at some point, you're going to crash and burn. Absolutely. So I'm planning that after this week, after this launch week. I'm just going to take some time, you know, read something easy, sip some chamomile tea, and I guarantee you within like 2 days, I'll be going crazy and need to get back to work anyway. So I won't be gone long, but that's the plan anyways. Haley says, are you going full Wisconsin woodsman? Or there are plans for a trim anytime soon? No, there's no plans for a trim, Haley. You know, the beard is strongly endorsed by my wife. This project has been about a year now. It was last November when I just got a little bit lazy with shaving. And then Christine was like, you know what? I bet you could grow a proper beard. You should give that a shot. And here we are. She likes it. She likes beards. So as long as Christine is happy, I'm gonna keep it going. And it is a properly Wisconsin look, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so the book, it's on Amazon. It's obviously you can get it from the publisher website. My understanding is it will have quite good representation in the traditional bookstores, if anybody still goes to bookstores and all that. So if you guys pick up a copy, I'd really, really appreciate it. Recommending it. I don't care if you have 1 follower on social media or 1 million. It means a ton to me. If you could just share it, recommend it, endorse it, leaving a review. You know, those reviews make a big difference. Like I said, Sophia took a chance on me. Philosophy books are not inherently, they just don't sell very well. So I want to make them happy. I want to make them feel like this is something that is, I think it's needed. I think more substantive conversation is just what the world needs. It's certainly needed within the Catholic world, right? So if you guys agree with me, help me out. If you grab a copy, I would really appreciate it. If you could recommend it, leave a review, share it, that'd be awesome. And if you want that bonus material, just head over to philosophyforthepeople.com. There's a contact form there. Let me know you ordered the book, and then I'll put you on the email list. You'll get the bonus material. Plan is to get it out later this week, so you'll get an email with the extra articles and content. I think you'll like it. Just a little way of just saying thanks, and here's some extra stuff that I think you'll like. Meow, meow, meow says, hey, brother, off topic, but would you ever bring on Jimmy to discuss psi and afterlife research? Super excited about your book. Sent the link to my hardcore atheist, anti-theist father. Well, thanks for recommending it, man. I hope he enjoys it. The tone of the book, and I was really intentional and careful about this, is a careful tone. You know, I show a very sincere care to the skeptic. I used to be a skeptic. I'm not talking down on any position. It's not a triumphalist narrative. I'm just trying to chart out what I think is the best philosophical path that I know how to articulate. So you'll have to let me know what he thinks of it. As for Jimmy Akin, yeah, Jimmy's always welcome on my show. I was trying to organize something with Jimmy a couple months back, and we had it scheduled, but then he ended up moving. He ended up moving out of California. So I need to circle back to him and see if we can get something scheduled here. Callum says, you took a hard left from Phasers, the last superstition tone then. Yeah, I definitely did. You will find that my manner of presentation is definitely not Phaserian. And I get it. You know, Phaser was kind of, punching back against the often very unmannerly new atheists. But that's not my target. I don't even know if I cite a single new atheist in this book. I'm much more interested in the serious naturalists and the serious thinkers and the sincere skeptics. The whole world of new atheism is very uninteresting to me. I get it. It's had a huge grip on the culture, and I think it is important that people are responding to them. But in terms of presentation and tone and manner, this is a very, very different book than Phaser's last superstition. In terms of matter too, right? The content and the types of arguments I give are also different, even though we share a number of broadly Thomistic commitments, to be sure. So that's what this is up to, this book. What else? I'm actually working on another paper right now on the old modal collapse issue again. I think I've got a few new insights to share to maybe move that discussion forward a little bit. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And like I said, an article of mine that I'm including the preprint in the bonus material is called is grounding essentially ordered causation. So real quick, and then I'll close it out, but you guys might find this interesting. So when I was doing research for this book, I was obviously one of the things that factors into cosmological reasoning are concerns about infinite regress scenarios, right? I talk a lot about this in the book, and they're presented as objections in different ways. But one of the ways the infinite regress scenario is presented as an objection is that it can constitute an adequate explanation. So I was really interested in what grounding theorists were debating concerning fundamentality in these wider grounding disputes and stuff like that. And as I was researching a lot of this, there's a lot of interesting considerations concerning fundamentality and infinite regress issues within these broader grounding disputes when we're talking about relations of deep metaphysical dependence. But the more and more I was engaged in this research and studying the matter, the more striking the similarities became between how grounding theorists would talk about these deep dependence relations and how various medievals like Aquinas and Scotus would talk about essentially subordinated causal series. So the idea started to kind of like bubble up in my mind that they might be talking about the same thing fundamentally. So I set out to do just a research article with a very open mind on the matter of, hey, is grounding essentially ordered causality? And not only did it turn into a full article that has since been accepted by the Review of Metaphysics. That my understanding is it will be in the December issue. But I think it was very fruitful for the original thing I was setting out to kind of find a novel way of thinking through these infinite regress scenarios. So in that preprint, you'll see that I argue, hey, if we follow a lot of what's going on in the grounding literature, if we're going to cite a relation of deep metaphysical dependence as explanatory, then it better be necessarily terminating. If it's not necessarily terminating, then it is necessarily non-explanatory. And so I developed that argument using insights from lots of various thinkers, but Barry Miller, of course, I'm quite fond of him in that preprint. So it's just kind of funny how things like that will turn out. You'll kind of like have one little thing you kind of want to get at a little bit, and then it just turns into this much bigger thing. But I think you guys will find that if you're interested in all that sort of stuff, I think you'll find that interesting. That's some of the bonus content that I'm including. So there you have it. Mr. Casanova says that paper will be a good Christmas gift to myself. Also, did the name change? It's me, meow, meow, meow. God bless. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And God bless you. I don't know how you just changed your username like that on YouTube, but that's quite impressive. So very good. All right, that's all I have for today, friends. If you haven't already, I would super appreciate if you grab the copy of the book and help spread the word. Philosophy for the People, as you know, is like, it's just my passion project. I don't have a team. I don't have any team behind this. It's really just me. So all the growth that we've had, and it's been really cool to see this very small channel. It's just, I see the numbers. They're ticking up, and they're ticking up at a rate that's quickening. It's because of all of you. So I really appreciate it. And y'all rock. Y'all just inspire me. You inspire me to do the best that I can and to do better. And I appreciate that. I really do. So the book is called The Best Argument for God. Sorry, hit my microphone. There it is. Very happy with just the production quality. Sophia did such a nice job. So we'd love to hear what you guys think. Like I said, people are already getting their copies. So I'm dazed and confused because I wasn't expecting the official launch until tomorrow. So now I'm all just trying to rush things out. But anyways, it's been fun, guys. Really appreciate it. Callum, super glad that you made it on the live stream. Sorry I didn't make an announcement sooner, but like I said, I kind of got surprised this morning when people were sending me messages and emails saying, hey, I got your book today. I'm like, what? It's not supposed to be out yet. But that's cool. That's cool. I hope you guys love it. Appreciate all your support. Catch you guys later. Peace.